Alright, so behind me here we have a Scag Vride 1. It's a SVR-52-FX, or no, it's a SVR-52-23FX is the model number. The serial number is a K6000 serial number. Today what we're going to be doing is replacing the caster wheels on both sides. And this does sound like a pretty easy process, but I found out that it's not quite as easy as it seems. Partly on my part, partly on the parts guy's part at the dealer. So we'll show you what's going on. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to get the front caster wheels off of the ground. This is usually a pretty tough process, at least in my experience, using just a regular old car jack. There's just no good place to get the jack under there. So I already have the wheels off, and what I did was I had somebody here to help me. I just took a spud bar or a pinch bar, pry bar, whatever you call it, and I put it under there, and I had somebody put the jack stands under there for me to get the casters off of the ground. So here I have laid out everything that you're going to need to complete this installation. I also have the old wheel and all the internals to explain why the installation needs to be completed. So the tools that you're going to need are a 3/4 inch wrench, a 3/4 inch socket, a ratchet, or an impact, whichever you have at your disposal. You're also going to need a caster wheel. These are the entire assembly. I compared prices between a new assembly and all the internals. If I were to rebuild the internals of the old one, then it would have came out to roughly $125 for both sides. But to get entirely new casters for both sides, it came out to roughly $195. Now, the reason that it wasn't so easy was the guy at the parts store wasn't aware that you also need 2 spacers for each side, as well as a sleeve that goes inside of the bearings. So I ended up having to go to the parts store twice to get those, which is why it became not so easy. Now, the reason that I'm replacing this is everything on the inside came out, and I don't know if that was a greasing issue, lack of greasing, or if that was due to the seal just blowing out. I mean, the machine has roughly 800 hours on it, but I went ahead and got new bolts because you can see here, if you look at the threads compared to where there's not threads, all that, it's kind of flat on top there. I also have, forgot to lay these out, also have new lock nuts. There's 2 different types of lock nuts. These ones are nylon lock nuts. These ones are what they call a Hex Head lock nut. And you can see that they're kind of rounded over the top there. The difference between these is the ones that the one in my hand is meant for more than one-time use, and the ones with the nylon inside of them are meant for really just a one-time use. So here's a side-by-side comparison of the spacers. You can see how worn down the old spacer is compared to the new spacer. This is the sleeve. This one just still has the bearing inside or on it, but the bearing on the new one is inside of the assembly. But this is actually a piece that broke off of the sleeve. So if you set these up next to each other, you can see the difference, how much the old sleeve, maybe this works a little bit better, but you can see how much the old sleeve has worn down compared to the new sleeve. So that's all you're going to need to complete this install, so we'll get going. Next thing you're going to want to do is to take your new wheel assembly and insert the sleeve through the wheel assembly, through the bearings, and it'll pop out on both sides. From there, you're going to want to take your spacer and put it over top of the sleeve. Needs a little bit of encouragement. You're also going to want to do the same thing on the other side. So this is your finished product there. Repeat the same process on your other caster. Alright, so now that we have our sleeves and our spacers installed into the new caster wheel assembly, it's time to install them into the yoke on the mower. So, pretty simple procedure right here. You're just going to take your wheel, put it up in between there, put your bolt through the sleeve, put your lock nut on the other side, and that's that. We'll go ahead and do the other side before we tighten these down. Alright, so now that we have both casters installed on both sides, it's time to tighten down the bolts and nuts. So when I removed the old ones, it was evident that these pieces of steel right here on the yoke were bent in by how far the bolt was tightened down. So I asked the service manager at the dealership exactly how far I should go to tighten down these new bolts. And his reply to that was tighten them down until there's a little bit of resistance and then give them about a quarter turn backwards. So I do have the impact on hand, but I'm going to go ahead and use my 3/4 inch ratchet and my 3/4 inch wrench. These are ratcheting wrenches, but for most, whenever I use them with the impact, I make sure to use the open end because I don't want to strip the threads on the ratcheting wrench. So we'll go ahead and tighten this down. We'll go ahead and do the other side. Well, I'm going to say that's good. Alright, so the last thing that you're going to want to do is remove your jack stands. Like I said, I just used a spud bar. I guess they're actually called a post hole digging bar. But like I said, this is the easiest way for me to do it on my own. So I'll just lift the mower up, kick out the jack stand, do the same thing over here on the other side. And that completes the install of new caster wheels on a Scag Vride 1. If you found this video to be helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. I'll put the part numbers to everything purchased here in the description down below, as well as any other information or tools needed to complete this job. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.